Imagine you are standing on a hillside above the most important harbor in France. The year is 1793. Below you, the Mediterranean glitters in the late summer sun. Beautiful, almost peaceful. And anchored in that harbor, in neat, terrifying rows, is the entire French Republican Navy. Dozens of warships, the pride of the Revolution, and every single one of them is flying a British flag. France has lost its greatest naval base, not to a siege, not to a battle at sea, but to its own people. The city of Toulon has opened its gates to the enemy. And now a young artillery captain, nobody special, no great family name, no powerful friends, is riding toward that hill with a borrowed horse, a worn coat, and a plan so bold it borders on insane. His name is Napoleon Bonaparte. He is 24 years old, and in the next 4 months, he is going to change everything. To understand why Toulon matters, you need to understand what France looks like in the summer of 1793. And the answer is, it looks like the end of the world. 4 years ago, the French Revolution promised liberty, equality, brotherhood. Instead, it has delivered the guillotine, civil war, and foreign invasion, all at the same time. King Louis XVI has been executed. His head dropped into a basket in January, and the whole of Europe recoiled in horror. Britain, Spain, Austria, Prussia, they have all declared war on the French Republic. An entire continent is trying to strangle the revolution in its cradle. But the enemies outside France are almost secondary compared to what is happening inside. The country is tearing itself apart. In the Vendée region in the west, Catholic peasants are fighting a brutal guerrilla war against the Republic. Tens of thousands dead. In Lyon, Paris has sent armies to crush a federalist revolt. And in the south, in Marseille, in Nîmes, in Toulon, the people have had enough of the radical Paris government, the Committee of Public Safety, and especially the Reign of Terror. The guillotine is running hot. Anyone suspected of insufficient enthusiasm for the revolution can lose their head before breakfast. The bourgeoisie of Toulon, merchants, naval officers, royalist sympathizers, look at what Paris has become, and they make a decision. A desperate, treasonous, catastrophic decision. They invite the enemy in. On August 28, 1793, the gates of Toulon swing open. British Admiral Sir Samuel Hood sails his fleet into the harbor with Spanish warships alongside. In a single afternoon, France loses its most important Mediterranean naval base, the arsenal that supplies its southern fleet, and roughly 24 ships of the line, massive, devastating warships that took years and fortunes to build. The Republican government in Paris is apoplectic. If Toulon is not retaken before the British fortify it, before they land more troops, before they burn what they cannot keep, France may never control the Mediterranean again. The Committee of Public Safety, the ruthless men running France with an iron fist and a ready blade, send an army south. It is commanded by a painter-turned-general named Jean-François Carteau. He is brave, confident, gloriously mustachioed, and completely out of his depth. His army is a ragged, enthusiastic mob of revolutionary volunteers with more courage than training. They have cannon, just not enough. They have gunpowder, just not enough. And the man commanding their artillery has just taken a musket ball to the arm. The Republican siege of Toulon is not going well. Into this chaos, in mid-September 1793, rides one Napoleon Bonaparte. Who is this man exactly? Because right now, September 1793, nobody important knows his name. He was born in Corsica in 1769, the year France acquired the island from Genoa. His family were minor Corsican nobility, educated, ambitious, perpetually short of money. He spoke French with an Italian accent that his classmates mocked mercilessly at military school. He was bookish, obsessive, strange. He read everything: history, mathematics, military theory, geography. While other boys played, he studied maps. He was commissioned as a lieutenant in the artillery at age 16 and spent the years since in relative obscurity, stationed here and there, watching the revolution convulse France while he waited and studied and thought. He has been trying to get into this fight for weeks. He has political connections, just enough, to a representative of the Committee of Public Safety named Saliceri, a fellow Corsican. When the artillery commander at Toulon is wounded, Saliceri arranges for Napoleon to take command. Napoleon arrives, surveys the situation, and within 24 hours he is furious. The Republican army has surrounded Toulon on the landward side. They have cannon, they are firing, they have been firing in fact for weeks, and they have accomplished almost nothing, because they are firing at the wrong things. Napoleon walks the hills. He studies the harbor through his glass. He talks to local fishermen, to smugglers, to anyone who knows the terrain. And then he sees it, the thing everyone else has missed, the thing that will end this siege. To the west of the harbor there is a peninsula. On that peninsula there are two heights, L'Aiguillette and Balaguier. They are rough, rocky, steep, easily defensible, easily ignored. And from their summits they command the entire harbor. Every ship at anchor, every dock, every British and Spanish vessel in Toulon Bay. Napoleon stares at those heights. In his mind, the siege is already over. All that remains is making everyone else understand it. He turns to his aide and speaks quietly, and you can almost hear the certainty in his voice. Place our guns there, and the English must leave or burn. He is right. He is completely right, and it will take everything he has to prove it. The problem is that Napoleon is a 24-year-old nobody with the rank of captain, and General Carteau, the mustachioed painter, does not want to hear his plan. Carteau has his own ideas. His ideas involve frontal assaults on the city walls, which have so far produced casualties and nothing else. He smiles tolerantly at the young Corsican and tells him to keep firing his little cannons. Napoleon does not keep firing his little cannons. Instead, he does something that will define his entire career. He goes around the obstacle. He writes directly to the Committee of Public Safety in Paris. He writes to every Republican commissioner, every political representative within reach. He is relentless, persuasive, specific, not ranting, not complaining, but laying out his plan with such mathematical precision, such obvious mastery of detail, that it is hard to argue with. He explains the terrain, the geometry of cannon range, the logic of the harbor. He explains, in essence, that the current strategy is a slow suicide and that his strategy will end the siege in weeks. While he waits for authority, he does not yet have. He works. God, does he work. He rides to every depot, every arsenal, every Republican garrison in the south of France, Marseille, Avignon, wherever he can find guns, and he requisitions cannon. He argues, cajoles, flatters, and occasionally threatens. He strips batteries from other positions. He sends riders 100 miles in search of powder and shot. He writes letters in the small hours of the morning, his handwriting racing across the page in that cramped, urgent scrawl that historians would later struggle to read. He commandeers horses, tools, entrenching equipment. He drafts infantry soldiers into gun crews and trains them personally, sleeping 4 hours a night, up before dawn, present at every battery at every hour. His men start calling him the Ricochet Captain because he is always there, always ducking cannon fire that seems to simply bounce off him. He sets up what he names, with characteristic flair, the Battery of the Fearless, manned by volunteers who know they will be under constant enemy fire and who sign up anyway because the young captain's certainty is infectious. In Paris, the Committee of Public Safety replaces Carteau with a new commander, General Dugommier, an experienced soldier who reads Napoleon's plan, meets the young captain, and immediately understands that he is dealing with someone extraordinary. Dugommier gives Napoleon what he needs: authority, reinforcements, and most importantly, permission. Now Napoleon builds his masterpiece, in the dead of night, Working parties drag cannon up rocky hillsides under covering fire. They dig by moonlight and torchlight, their hands bleeding, while enemy pickets fire down from above. Within days, on a commanding ridge overlooking the harbor, the great battery of the Convention takes shape. Multiple heavy guns, positioned with terrifying precision, their barrels aimed directly at the British fleet below. When dawn breaks and the British gunners see what has appeared overnight on that ridge, there is a moment, you can feel it across 2 centuries, of pure, cold professional fear. But the British are not tourists. Admiral Hood is no fool. He has seen the danger. He knows those heights matter as much as Napoleon does, which is why, when Hood's engineers look at the peninsula and see the same geography Napoleon has seen, they build a fort. They call it Fort Mulgrave. The British soldiers call it, with dark humor, Little Gibraltar. It crowns the heights of Les Guillettes, surrounded by ditches and abattis, sharpened stakes, tangled branches, man-made obstacles designed to slow any attacker to a stumbling walk while muskets cut them down. The garrison is strong, well supplied, and fighting on the highest ground. Taking it will not be like a chess problem. It will be a bloodbath. The first Republican attacks fail. Of course they do. Men charge uphill against prepared positions in daylight, officers shouting, drums beating, and the British fire volleys, and the men fall and the attacks collapse, and the survivors retreat down the slope, dragging their wounded. Napoleon watches each failure and takes notes. He studies the fort's weak points. He studies the timing of the British fire, when they reload, when their lines thin. He is doing the mathematics of violence, and his answer is coming. Through November and into December, the Republican batteries on the heights and around the harbor grow stronger. Napoleon's guns are firing constantly now, aimed at the ships in the harbor, at the forts, at the British supply lines. Hood is starting to feel the pressure. Spanish cooperation is fraying. Royalist morale inside Toulon is cracking as Republican cannon fire crashes through the city streets. The British garrison is stretched thin. December 16, 1793. The Republican commanders meet and give the order. The final assault on Fort Mulgrave will begin before dawn on the 17th. Napoleon has been awake for 36 hours. The night is black and wet. It is raining, a cold Mediterranean winter rain that turns the hillside paths to mud. Thousands of Republican soldiers move in near silence, officers hissing at men to keep quiet, boots sliding in the dark. Napoleon is there. He has no intention of watching this from a command post. He is with the guns, with the assault columns. He is 24 years old and completely, absolutely alive. The attack goes in at 2 in the morning. It is chaos, screaming chaos, the kind that breaks your mind if you let it. The Republicans hit the abatis and the firing starts immediately. Muzzle flashes in the rain, men stumbling over stakes and into ditches, officers cut down before they can shout their orders. The British defenders are fighting desperately, bayonets out, fighting for every yard of the fort. Napoleon is everywhere, shouting, pointing, grabbing men by the collar and aiming them at the right walls. He goes forward himself, into the ditch, up the parapet, and then a British soldier lunges and a bayonet drives into Napoleon's left thigh. He goes down. For one terrible moment, the most important artillery brain in the Republican Army is lying in the mud with a bayonet wound, and the assault is wavering. He gets up, and he keeps going. Fort Mulgrave falls just before dawn on December 17th. The British defenders who can retreat. The Republicans flood onto the heights of Les Guillettes and Balaguier and haul Napoleon's cannon to the summits, and then they fire. Below them in Toulon harbor, the British and Spanish fleet suddenly finds itself under plunging cannon fire from directly above. Every captain in that harbor looks up and sees exactly what Napoleon promised they would see. The Republic's guns are above them. The harbor entrance is covered. They cannot stay. Admiral Hood makes the decision quickly. There is nothing else to do. He orders the fleet to prepare to evacuate. He sends orders for the fleet to be withdrawn, But before they leave, he makes one more order, one that turns Toulon harbor into a scene from hell. He orders the French ships burned. He cannot take them. He will not leave them for the Republic. So the British torch the arsenal, the stores, the shipyards, and the French fleet. Not all of it is destroyed. Some ships are towed away, others escape in the confusion. But what burns? Burns magnificently and horribly. The night sky above Toulon turns orange and red, columns of black smoke rising hundreds of feet into the air, burning timbers crashing into the harbor, the screaming of men trapped on ships, going up like torches, the roar of magazines detonating as the fire reaches the powder stores. The British, the Spanish, and the Royalist citizens who have cast their lot with the occupation scramble for the ships in blind panic. There are more people than ships. Royalist families who trusted Hood's promises that they would be protected are fighting on the docks for space on boats. Some make it, many do not. The Republican Army is entering the city now, and what happens to the Royalists who remain is not the business of a history that tries to be honest about the cost of revolution. It is savage and fast and merciless. On December 19, 1793, the tricolor rises again over Toulon. The siege is over. Napoleon's plan has worked with almost mechanical precision, exactly as he said it would. He is still limping from the bayonet wound. He is 24 years old. The dispatches that go to Paris are unambiguous. Dugommier writes to the Committee of Public Safety with words that must have made Napoleon's heart pound when he read them. The general says that there are not enough words to praise young Bonaparte's merits. He is recommended for immediate promotion. Within weeks, Napoleon Bonaparte is a brigadier general. The rank he could have expected to reach in his 40s, if ever, has been handed to him before his 25th birthday. The Committee of Public Safety, those hard-eyed men who have been sending aristocrats and generals alike to the guillotine, looks at the name Napoleon Bonaparte and files it away as something useful. Think about what that means for a moment. France is in the most dangerous crisis of its modern existence. It is surrounded by enemies. It is consuming itself. Its armies are vast but chaotic. Its generals are dying or being replaced constantly. And into this whirlpool comes a young man who, at his very first major test, proves he can see what others cannot see, build what others cannot build, endure what others cannot endure, and win when winning seemed impossible. Toulon is where Napoleon learns the lesson that will guide his entire career. That war, like mathematics, has a logic. That terrain is language. That speed, audacity, and precision can defeat size, experience, and conventional wisdom. Every campaign he will ever run, Italy, Egypt, Austerlitz, Wagram, the 100 lightning strikes that will leave Europe gasping, carries the DNA of that rocky hillside above the Toulon harbor, of those guns dragged up in the dark, of a bayonet wound absorbed without stopping. He is a general now. He has proved something to the world, but more importantly, he has proved it to himself. He now knows, with the certainty of a man who has done the impossible once, that he can do it again. The French Republic will need that certainty. The wars ahead are enormous. The road from this muddy hillside leads improbably, magnificently, through the plains of Italy and the pyramids of Egypt, through the chancelleries of Europe, through the blood and snow of 100 battlefields, all the way to the throne of an empire. But it starts here. It starts in the rain on a December night, in a wounded 24-year-old captain who looked at what everyone else thought was an impossible problem and saw the answer.